Good evening, everybody. I had a late start tonight, but we're going to pick up where we left off. Joshua chapter 11. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard of this, he sent word to Jacob, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Ashbah, and to the northern kings who were in the mountains, in the Abara south of Kinnereth, in the western foothills, and the Naphath door on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites below Hermon in the region of Mizpah. They came out with all their troops and a large number of horses and chariots, a huge army as numerous as the sand on the seashore. All these kings joined forces and made camp together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, because by this time tomorrow I will hand all of them over to Israel, slain. You are to you are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and his whole army came against them suddenly at the waters of Merom and attacked them, and the Lord gave them into the hand of Israel. They defeated them and pursued them all the way to Greater Sidon, to 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 Mesrepoth Maim, into the valley of Mizpath on the east, till no survivors were left. Joshua did to them as the Lord had directed. He hamstringed their horses and burned their chariots. At that time, Joshua turned back and captured Hazor and put its king to the sword. Hazor had been the head of all these kingdoms. Everyone in it they put to the sword. They totally destroyed them, not sparing anything that breathed, and he burned up Hazor itself. Joshua took all these royal cities and their kings and put them to the sword. He totally destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. Yet Israel did not burn any of the cities built on their mounds, except Hazor, while Joshua burned, which Joshua burned. The Israelites carried off for themselves all the plunder and livestock of these cities, but all the people they put to the sword until they completely destroyed them, not sparing anyone that breathed, as the Lord commanded his servant Moses. So Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did it. He left nothing undone for all the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took this entire land, the hill country, all the Negev, and all the whole region of Goshen, and the western foothills, the Arabah, and the mountains of Israel, with their foothills. For from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, to Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, before Mount Hermon, he captured all their kings and struck them down, putting them to death. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long time, except for the Hivites living in Gibeon. Not one city made a treaty of peace with the Israelites, who took them all in battle. For it was the Lord himself who hardened their hearts to wage war against Israel, so that he might destroy them totally, exterminating them without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. At that time, Joshua went and destroyed the Anakites from the hill country, from Hebron, Debir, and Anab, from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua totally destroyed them and their towns. No Anakites were left in Israel's territory, only in Gaza. Gath and Ashdod did any survive. So Joshua took the entire land, just as the Lord had directed Moses, and gave it as an inheritance to Israel, according to their tribal divisions. Then the land had rest from war. Chapter 12. These are the kings of the land whom the Israelites had defeated and whose territory they took over east of the Jordan, from Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, including all the eastern side of the Arabah. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. He ruled from Arar on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge to the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. This included half of Gilead. He also ruled over the eastern Arabah from the Sea of Kenath to the Sea of the Arabah, the Salt Sea, to Beth Jeshimoth, and then southward below the slopes of Pisgah, and the territory of Og, king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephites who reigned in Asheroth and Adrai. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Selka, all of Bashan, to the border of the people of Geshur, and Mekah, and half of Gilead, to the border of Sihon, king of Eshburn. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites conquered them. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave their land to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh to their possession. These are the kings of the land that Joshua and the Israelites conquered on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which rises towards the air. Their lands Joshua gave as an inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their tribal divisions. The hill country, the western foothills, Arabah, the mountain slopes, the desert, and the Negev, the lands of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. The king of Jericho, one the king of Ai near Bethel. The king of Jerusalem, one the king of Hebron. The king of Jarmuth, one the king of Jarmuth, one the king of Lachish, one the king of Eglon, one the king of Gezer, one the king of Deber, one the king of Geter, one the king of Hormah, one the king of Arad, one the king of Libnah, one the king of Adullam, one the king of Makkedah, one the king of Bethel, one the king of Tupah, one the king of Hepher, one the king of Ephah, one the king of Lasharon, one the king of Madon, one the king of Hazor, one the king of Shimron Meron, one the king of Aksheph, Aksheph, one the king of Tanakh, one the king of Megiddo, one the king of Kadesh, one the king of Jokneam and Camel, one the king of Dor and Nephath Dor, one the king of Goyim and Gilgal, one The king of Tezrah, 1. 31 kings in all. Chapter 13. When Joshua was old, when Joshua was old and well advanced in years, the Lord said to him, You are very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over. Thus, in the land that remains, all the regions of the Philistines and Geshurites, from the Sahor River on the east of Egypt to the territory of Ekron on the north, all of it counted as Canaanite, the territory of the 5 Philistine rulers. In Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron, one of the Hivites. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites, from Araphat to Arah to the Sidonians, as far as Ephah, the region of the Amorites, the area of the Gabalites, and all Lebanon to the east, from Baal Gal, from Baal, from Baal, gosh, from Baal Gad, below Mount Hermon, to Lebo Hamath. As for all the inhabitants of the mountain regions, from Lebanon to Mesrephoth, Maim, that is all the Sidonians, I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. Be sure to allocate the land to Israel for an inheritance, as I have instructed you, and divided it as an inheritance among the 9 tribes and half the tribe of Manasseh. The other half of Manasseh, the Reubenites and the Gadites, had received the inheritance that Moses had given them east of the Jordan, as he, the servant of the Lord, had assigned it to them. It extended from Arar on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, included the whole plateau of Midbah, as far as Dibon, and all the towns of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon, unto the border of the Ammonites. It also included Gilead, the territory of the people of Geshur and Makkah, all of Mount Hermon, and all of Bashan, as far as the Selka, that is, the whole kingdom of Og and Bashan, who had reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei, and had survived as one of the last of the Rephites. Moses had defeated them and taken over the land, but the Israelites did not drive out the people of Geshur and Makkah, so they continue to live among the Israelites to this day. But to the tribe of Levi he gave no inheritance, since the offerings made by fire to the Lord, the God of Israel, are their inheritance, as he promised them. This is what Moses had given to the tribe of Reuben, clan by clan. The territory from Arar on the rim of Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, and the whole plateau past Medeba to Eshbon, and all its towns on the plateau, including Dibon, Bamoth Baal, Beth Baal Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Meph, Mephedeth, Kerithium, Sibnah, Zerath, Shihar, Zerath, Zerath, Zereth, Shahar, on the hill of the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jeshimoth. All the towns are in the plateau, and the entire realm of Sihon king of the Amorites, who ruled at Heshbon. Moses had defeated him and the Midianite chiefs Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, princes allied with the Sihon, who lived in that country. In addition to those slain in battle, the Israelites had to put the sword to Balaam, to Balaam, God, Balaam, son of Beor, who practiced divination. The boundary of the Reubenites was the bank of the Jordan. These towns and their villages were in the inheritance of the Reubenites, clan by clan. This is what Moses had given to the tribe of Gad, clan by clan. The territory of Jazer, all the towns of Gilead, and half the Ammonite country as far as Aror near Rabbith, and from Heshbon to Ramoth, Mizpah, and Betonim, and from Maham, Mahanaim, Mahanaim, Mahanaim to the territory of Deborah, and in the valley Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Zephon, with the rest of the realm of Sihon, king of Heshbon, the east side of the Jordan, the territory up to the end of the Sea of Kinnereth. These towns and their villages were in the inheritance of the Gadites, clan by clan. This is what Moses had given to the half tribe of Manasseh, that is, to half the family of the descendants of Manasseh, clan by clan. The territory extending from Mahanaim, and including all Bashan, the entire realm of Og, king of Bashan, all the settlements of Jair, the Bashan, 60 towns, half of Gilead, Ashtaroth, and Edrei, the royal cities of Og and Bashan. This was for the descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, for half the sons of Machir, clan by clan. This is the inheritance Moses had given them when he was in the plains of Moab, across the Jordan, east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi, Moses had given no inheritance. The Lord, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, as he promised them. Chapter 14. Now, these are the areas the Israelites received as an inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel allotted to them. Their inheritances were assigned by lot to the 9.5 tribes, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. Moses had granted the 2.5 tribes their inheritance east of the Jordan, but had not granted the Levites an inheritance among the rest. For the sons of Joseph had become 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. The Levites received no share of the land, but only towns to live in, with pasture lands for their flocks and herds. So the Israelites divided the land, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now the men of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, God, Jeff, Jephani, the, the Canaanite, said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea, about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land, and I brought him back a report according to my convictions. But my brothers who went up with me made made the hearts of the people melt with fear. I, however, followed the Lord my God, wholeheartedly. So on that day Moses swore to me, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance, and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said this to Moses, while Israel moved about in the desert. So, here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Now, give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. Yours, you yourself heard then that the Anakites were there, and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out, just as he said. Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. As his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, to the Kenizzite, the Kenizzite ever since, because he followed the, the Lord, the God of Israel, who wholeheartedly. Hebron used to be called Kiriath Arba after Abba, who was the greatest man among the Anakites. Then the land had rest from then the land had rest from war. Chapter 15. The allotment for the tribe of Judah, clan by clan, extended down to the territory of Edom, to the desert of Zin in the extreme south. Their southern boundary started from the bay at the southern end of the Salt Sea, crossed south of Scorpion Pass, continued on to Zin, went over to the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it ran past Hezron up to Adar, and curved around to Karka. It then passed along to Asmon and joined the Wadi of Egypt, ending at the sea. This is their southern boundary. The eastern boundary is the Salt Sea as far as the mouth of the Jordan. The northern boundary started from the Bay of the Sea at the mouth of the Jordan, went up to Beth Hoglath, and continued north of Beth Araba to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. The boundary then went up to Deber from the valley of Acre, and turned north to Gilgal, which faces the pass of Adumim, south of the gorge. It continued along to the waters of En Shemesh, and came out at En Rogel. Then it ran up to the valley of Ben Hinnom, along the southern slope of the God bless it, of the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem. From there it climbed to the top of the hill west of the Hinnom Valley, at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. From the hilltop the boundary headed toward the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, came out of the towns of Mount Hephron, and went down toward Baal, that is Kerakath Jearim. Then it curved westward from Bala to Mount Zior, ran along the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is Kishalon, continued down to Beth Shemesh, and crossed to Timnoah, Timnah. He went to the northern slope of Ekron, turned toward Shikron, passed along to Mount Bala, and reached Jabneel. The boundary ended at the sea. The western boundary is the coastline of the Great Sea. These are the boundaries around the people of Judah by their clans. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave God bless it. Joshua gave to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion of Judah, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the forefather of Anak. From Hebron, Caleb drove out the three Anakites, Shisha, Shisha, God bless it, Shishai, Hi, Ahiman, and Talmi, the descendants of Anak. From there, he marched against the people living in Deborah, formerly called Kirath Zephyr. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Exah in marriage to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Zephyr. Zephyr. Othniel, Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, took it. So Caleb gave his daughter Aska to him in marriage. One day, when she came to Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What can I do for you? She replied, Do me a special favor. Since you have given me land in the Negev, give me also springs of water. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of Judah, clan by clan. The southernmost towns of the tribe of Judah in the Negev toward the boundary of Edom were Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kana, Dimonah, Adada, Kadesh, Hazor, Ethan, Zeph, Telim, Beloth, Hazor, Hadattah, Kiriath, Hezron, that is Hazor, Amam, Shema, Moladah, Hazor, Gada, Heshmon, Beth Palet, Hazor Shual, Beersheba, Busy, Biziophila, Bela, Lem, Ezem, Eltolad, Kessel, Herma, Zeklag, Madmana, Sansana, Leboath, Laboath, God bless it, Labaoth, Shalem, Ain, and Remen. A total of 29 towns and their villages. In the western foothills, Eshtawa, God bless it, Eshtao, Zora, Ashna, Zanoah, and Ganem, Tapua, Enam, Jarmoth, Adullam, Soka, Azekah, Sheraim, Adahim, and Gedera, or Gederatheum, 14 towns and their villages. Zenon, Hadessah, Magdal, Gad, Delim, Mizpath, Joktheel, Lachish, Boscath, Eglon, Kaban, Lamas, Kitlash, Jederath, Beth Dagon, God bless it, Nema, and Megiddo, 16 towns and their villages. Libnah, Ether, Ashin, Eftah, Ashna, Nizab, Kiblah, Exib, and Mermat, and Mershah, 9 towns and their villages. Ekron, with its surrounding settlements and villages. West of Ekron, all that were in the vicinity of Ashdod, together with their villages. Ashdod, its surrounding settlements and villages. And Gaza, its settlements and villages, as far as the Wadi of Egypt and the coastline of the Great Sea. In the hill country, Shemer, Detor, Soka, Dana, Kiriath, Sana, that is Deber, Nab, Aramah, and Anam, Goshen, Holon, and Gila, 11 towns and their villages. Arab, Duma, Eshon, Janim, Beth, Tapua, Afkiga, Humta, Kiriath, Arba. This is Hebron. And Zeor, 9 towns and their villages. Moab, God bless it. God bless it. Maon, Carmel, Zeph, Judah, Jezreel, and Jokteam. Zanoah, Cain, Gilba, and Timnah, 10 towns and their villages. Halhal, Beth Zor, Gidor, Marath, Beth Anna, and Ekra, 6 towns and their villages. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 towns and their villages. In the desert, Beth Arabah, Midan, Zakaka, Nibshan, the city of salt, and Jetty, 6 towns and their villages. Judah could not dislodge the Jesuits who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jesuits live there with the people of Judah. That was a hard chapter to read. Alright, guys. God bless y'all and thank you for joining me. Have a good night.